Bryce Sutton, Vice President, Community and Economic Development Manager with Fifth Third Bank.
Jade
Make
Harrell.
things happen. Yes, that's me. Thank you.
Good to be here.
I'm glad to be here with you. I feel so privileged.
Are we going to alienate our audience by talking about dealing with debt?
No.
Okay.
I think they're
Well, let's
ready
go
for
with
this, especially after our last conversation where we said, face it, create a plan to direct it, and get some help if you need it. And I know somebody did. I know you did.
Well, and it's all about taking hold of your situation, really actively putting things in place. Because you've got three choices. And that is, you're going to have to increase your income when you're dealing with debt.
Yep.
You're going to have to decrease your expenses in some way or another. Or you're going to have to set some achievable goals that make your debt situation begin to become more manageable.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever dealt with debt realizes that when you don't make a payment, there are consequences that ultimately come with that.
Yes.
When you're either late or when you skip a payment, it's not necessarily what you intended. When you bought that stereo, you didn't intend to pay back late, but now that you are in this situation and you've got people calling your house,
Right.
People who are sending letters that are off colors, envelopes to your home, you don't want that situation. So let's figure out how we can address this, and continue our discussion on
That's
it
right.
because this is absolutely valuable.
Well, I've had enough of being a debt punk. So I don't want people calling me, talking to me any kind of way. And they have a right. They're trying to recover what they rightfully expect. But it just gets to a point where you no longer have control, and that is not a good feeling. I'm not going into the new year that way. I think that we all want to feel empowered in this day.
And understand, too, that there is a law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that limits or puts controls around how someone can pursue you.
Oh, good.
If you're having a debt situation. For one, they cannot call your home before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m.
Oh, 9.
That's illegal.
For that 8.
If someone does that.
For that 8.
and they cannot by law call you at work.
Really?
Yeah. So
what do you do?
So if someone does call you under any of those other circumstances that I just named, they're breaking the law, and then you need to go ahead and report those individuals.
That's right.
And then as well, when someone is working with you on debt, they cannot tell you a lie, tell you that you can do this, but then on the other hand, you get something in the mail that's contrary to what you agreed to. So anytime you're dealing with someone on a debt situation, be proactive by calling them and then know in your mind what you can reasonably afford. If you tell someone that you're going to pay them $10 per month, do that.
Yeah.
Do
If
it
that's what
at the
is,
time
yes.
when you. If the obligation was before was $50 a month, and you've been able to negotiate them down to $10 a month, you've made some great progress. But also, you're gonna make this situation go away a lot sooner.
Sure.
Now, when you get in a situation where you can afford to pay more, reach out to that creditor. Let them know that you're in a position where you can pay more and make the arrangements and stick to the agreement.
Right.
Yeah, so-
What about those ones where they've reduced the debt, where you could just pay maybe a third or fourth of it at if you could take care of all that right now? Is that something
you can do that? You can negotiate down how much the monthly payment may be, but you may even have some where they may reduce the principal.
Right, for a lump sum.
But if you don't ask, you'll never get that.
Right.
So go in.
So don't put our head in the sand, is what you're saying, right?
No, I'm saying that this is the time when you can get your mojo on
Okay.
and really start working this debt responsibly, but work it with authority.
There you go.
Because we've all have been given a certain level of authority. Now let's act on that in such a way to deal with this debt situation. We're not going to go in and just kind of whimper and cower down. But know that this is a serious situation that you can deal with, because the reality is, if you miss a payment on your home or your car, you go outside, your car might be missing.
Oh my God!
Because they don't need your permission to come repossess your car.
Right.
And they don't need permission to move your house into foreclosure, which you will lose your home. Now, you can find creditors when you're dealing with debt situations, like with your home or with your car. Maybe more so with your home, not as much with the car. They would be willing to work with you.
Right.
Some maybe they even may forego your payments for maybe a period of time if they see that your situation is temporary and that you have a plan in motion to get yourself re-engaged financially.
And
they'll work
that
with
makes
you.
a great point, because you're saying if they see that you've got a plan in motion, that they see that you are taking the steps, because ultimately, if we don't take the steps and get it in order, somebody else will. Right. And it'll be on their terms and not our own.
And recognize, too, if you work out a negotiated agreement, ask what the fees are on that, because there are going to be some additional fees. Yeah. Know what those fees are, if they're going to change the percentage rate on you, you need to know that information. Ask those questions. Ask those questions. Now, the other thing, too, is some people will take their debt and consolidate it. What does debt consolidation mean? Let's say I've got 3 obligations, and I owe $500 on those 3 obligations, and they all have different interest rates. I might be able to take all of those and make it into one loan, a debt, and it may take the interest down. Be very careful. Okay. Ask questions with those.
Give us top 3 questions.
The questions you want to ask: what is the interest rate? What is the term? So what if on one of those obligations it was going to pay off in, say, 2 years, but now I've consolidated the debt and it won't pay off until 10 years.
It out good.
So essentially, I may have gotten a lower rate, but I'm paying more.
Come on, Royce. That's why this is a classroom, and I'm so glad you're teaching.
So ask those questions. What that term is going to be. So you want to keep that term in line with what you may have had before. Right. Now, understand too that monthly payment, don't just be driven by the monthly payment, because that's all we hear. Okay, $75 a month, I can do that. Right. But you don't want $75 a month for the next 15 years.
Right. Well, that's kind of how we get into a lot of debt too, because they say, oh, it's only this $25 a month, and the interest rate is sky high, and then it's for a long period of time. So and recognize too, when you do a debt consolidation loan, it may if you're doing something like a home equity line of credit, that is tied to your home. So if you don't pay that obligation, then you have now put your home on the line. Jeopardy,
you could potentially lose your home. So
you caution us. Yeah, you caution us. So then what would be your recommendation in finding an appropriate and best match for that kind of opportunity?
The best way is sit down with someone who is seasoned, someone who's experienced. Sit down with a banker. Bankers do more than just cash checks. They do more than just make loans. They also can give you good, solid advice. We do that every single day at Fifth Third Bank, and walking people through options. Ask questions of your banker. If you don't understand a term or something that they're talking about, ask them. I don't understand this. Explain this to me so that I can better understand it. That is the mark of a good, solid banker. If you need to work with someone who is helping you on the credit counseling side, ask good questions there. Attend all the workshops. Yeah. Make sure you're participating and that you're engaged, and that you walk away with more information than you walked in.
That's right.
That will help you to walk through and deal with some of these debt situations, but also if you have a strategy, make sure it's a solid one that will make sense for you, not just today, but say a year from now when you're dealing with and thinking through the situation. You're like, you know what? That was a good decision. And then the other thing, don't take on more debt.
Yeah, right.
While you're going through this, don't add new things to this. If you had 4 credit cards with a balance on it, and now you're down to 2 credit cards, don't go for the okey doke. And you see a credit card offer coming in the mail, and you take that too.
Die hard, right?
Don't fall for it.
Right.
Don't fall for it. Absolutely not.
Take a stand.
One of the things that I see more often is that people are using bankruptcy as a debt management, as a budget planning process. Don't do that. You're not Donald Trump. You don't have the ability to work your finances in it. I don't have the ability to work my finances in that manner. So bankruptcy is an absolute last resort. Absolutely last resort.
I know many folks that have made that option or taken that option because the garnishments have gotten so debilitating, or the repossessions, or some other type of collection effort has been paralyzing, and the only way that they could free up the money to function, they thought or would assume that bankruptcy is the way. What is the fallacy of that?
Well, the just know that what you're getting into, if you file for bankruptcy, it will stay on your credit report for a period of 10 years.
So would the repo.
The repo will stay on there, but you can recover a lot faster from a repo than you can from bankruptcy.
That's the point.
Because bankruptcy, essentially, it locks you down. Okay. The ability to take on any debt, or to buy a car, or to buy a home, are all going to be tremendously affected by a bankruptcy.
But if we've already jacked up our credit so bad, do we even need to be looking at those things as possibilities?
If you've had some credit issues, like I said, this bankruptcy is a last resort. Consider some of the other options first.
Okay.
Have you sat down with someone that's walked you through your credit and how to build your credit? Have you put together a spending plan? Have you looked at ways that you can manage your obligations? Have you worked with your creditors? If you've done all of those things to no avail, then you sit down with someone who can really counsel you through the bankruptcy process. Now, understand that through the bankruptcy process, you still by law, you still owe, and you also have to go through a credit counseling class. So if you didn't get it then, you're going to have to get it at some point in time because the law is going to require you to do that.
It will be done for us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and you do not. There are certain types of under bankruptcy, certain types of debt that will not absolutely you can't run away from. It will stick with you, irregardless of whether you file bankruptcy.
So then you got the debt and the bankruptcy.
If you've had tax problems, bankruptcy won't clear that.
Okay.
If you had student loans. Bankruptcy won't clear that either.
Okay.
If you've got issues related to certain obligations on properties, there are certain obligations that you can't clear away as well. So what I really would like people to really think through is if you got any of these issues, alimony or child support, you're going to still be responsible for those.
Well, I would hope, at least, when it comes to children and
yeah.
the care of a person, but I do understand there are some, again, if your hands are tied, because there's many things in place that can keep you from even getting out because you've become so burdened by that debt and not being able to take it on. So that is understandable. But I like what you're saying. There are some other steps before bankruptcy and to look at those things, listen to the money classroom, take advantage of some of these things that you're bringing to our awareness here as things you could try before you get to that point.
You can, and there is a whole industry that is waiting for you to file bankruptcy. There are attorneys and other counselors out there. That is the first thing that they present to you as an option. And all they really want is to get a retainer fee out of you, $500, $1,000, $2,000, whatever it takes for you to go through that process. Sure. They walk away with more money in their pocket, and then you're much poorer as a result of. And what we want people to do is they think about all of these options, Jade, is recognize that you have options, you have relationships, build upon them, work them, and do that in such a way that honors your family, that honors yourself, and honors your future.
That's right. That's right. Because you know what? That's not even the end of the line. Because even if the attorneys, and you get to that point, there's folks waiting after that. So when you're already, your pockets are turned inside out, there's some, well, hey, we don't care if you had bankruptcy. Come get some more debt with us.
Yeah. And no one need to walk around in shame because everyone has challenges or mistakes that they have made. Just walk around with, say, you know what, I've made the mistake. Own it. Just take it for what it is. If you've opened up 5 charge accounts when you knew you couldn't really afford it, own that.
And even if you didn't know, own that. I love that. So you said responsibly, but I love that you also included with authority. We can take control over this.
We can. And we will see when people take authority and they take active steps in making this a priority in their lives, they'll rest better. Yeah. They'll feel better.
That's right. They can answer their phone.
You don't have to ignore knocks at the door. There are wonderful things that begin to take place in your life. And these are the things that we think are what everyone needs to hear.
That's right. I appreciate that, Royce. Let's keep it going and keep helping out our folks and knowing exactly what ways that they can take advantage of this money classroom. For more information regarding our discussion today, you can contact the Fifth Third Bank Financial Empowerment Hotline. And if you'd like us to cover a topic on this program, you could share that as well. Many times your question could bring forth an answer that helps all of us.